Welcome to the Trust Radio Network. Join your host, attorney Stephen A. Leahy, every Saturday night at 7, right here on AM 560, as he engages in conversation with some of the most trusted professionals in all of Chicagoland. Enjoy interviews with local professionals dedicated to providing the very best products and services. Learn who they are, what they do, and most importantly, why they do it. Take a step inside the minds of some of Chicagoland's most successful business leaders and learn all there is to know. Every Saturday night at 7 on the Trust Radio Network. Now, here's your host, attorney Stephen A. Leahy.
Tonight on the Trust Radio Network, attorney Stephen A. Leahy, PC, with Open Tax Advocates, the founder of the Open Tax Advocates, 312-664-6649. Our technical producer, best in the business, I say this week in and week out. Actually, I don't think I said it last week.
Yeah, sure you did.
Did I?
Yeah.
All right. The best in the business, week in and week out, Deborah Schreiner.
Hey, good to be with you.
I know
you
I
guys.
caught you off guard there. I just want to make sure everybody.
Well,
and I'm Jim Leahy.
You are Jim Leahy. Thanks so much for the introduction,
this is
Jim.
the Trust Radio Network.
And I, again, I'm your host, attorney Stephen Leahy. This is the Trust Radio Network, where we interview trusted professionals, people you can trust when you're making important decisions.
That's right.
The show is sponsored by Open Tax Advocates, where we help business professionals solve IRS problems. We help them with audits and levies, liens and garnishments, collections, unfiled tax returns, and payroll tax issues. But we also help with real estate appeals. Tax appeals. This is a big deal now because there was a hiatus on tax appeals they had put during the COVID, but they're coming back and they're starting to take appeals again. So if you think you're paying too much on your property taxes, and you probably are, you should contact us and at 312-664-6649. Again, it's 312-664-6649, or you can visit us on the web at ChicagoTaxTeam.com. Now, there's nothing more important, right? We talk to trusted professionals. That's what the show's about, talking to trusted professionals about their work. And today we have trusted professionals from the Chicago School of Musical Arts, and we're going to introduce them right now.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We have the Chicago School of Musical Arts. We have Sylvia Mayentu. If you could just introduce yourself, ladies, because we're doing it over the phone. We don't want to talk over each other. So, Sylvia, take the floor. Introduce yourself.
I'm Sylvia Mientu, and we are the Chicago School of Musical Arts. I work with my two partners, Christy Sola and Fiona Hammer, and this was all Christy's idea. She approached me 2 years ago and had this brilliant idea, and I'm so excited to be part of this team. We are ChicagoSMA.com and Chicago School of Musical Arts, and I'm going to have Christy take it away.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christy Sola, and so happy to be here today. We find ourselves in a very unusual time right now, and it's actually been a good chance for us to catch our breath and kind of focus on what we had always wanted to focus on, which was online lessons, but we were so busy in the schools, we expanded into 17 schools really quickly in a year and a half, and we had many different amazing artist teachers going into the schools, teaching all the different instruments, guitar, ukulele, violin, voice, dance, and many more, piano, keyboard. And we also started a band last year, which was really exciting at my son's school, Alcott Elementary. And we were just going full steam and loving it. And then all of a sudden, we had to just cancel it all overnight and bring everyone online. And we were able to bring a good portion of our students online. Actually, everyone in the band stayed with us. And now we are just like everyone else. We're parents, we're moms, trying to figure out what the fall is going to look like and how to move forward with this.
And Fiona, introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Fiona Hammer. I run all the finances and marketing and online social media for the group. And, yeah, we absolutely are so excited to be on your show and really just tell our story about how we started and what the purpose is of starting this business and how just COVID has really transformed our business to somewhere
the silver lining is that we find through all of this.
Here's what I love, and this is why it was so interesting when we first got in touch to have you on, because we're a show that features small businesses, and like all small businesses, it takes so much to start out, right? There's so much risk involved when you're starting your own business and you don't know where things are going to go. But you ladies have seemed to take it and just run with it. Great attitudes, great, great work ethic. And now it's paying off with all the schools that you're going into, which are cutting their arts programs. And we here at the Trust Radio Network truly do believe that kids should learn how to play an instrument. Kids should be understanding the arts, because it's very important. I mean, it really is, to understand and break it down through, overcome, because playing an instrument is not easy. And you have to overcome that and try to learn at least somewhat, right? We don't have to ask you to be Mozart, but
I think
if you can be, that'd be awesome. That'd pay for itself.
I think in the end, schools should teach us how to think.
Exactly.
And one thing music does is teach you how to think and put that together with your mind, hands, coordination, all of that. That's why I think it's such an important aspect of learning.
So let's go. We have a little bit of time here. I want to just talk to you ladies really quick. How did this all come to be? What brought you guys together? Why did you decide to create the Chicago School of Musical Arts?
Well, my background is in arts administration and violin performance, and I've been playing the violin since the age of 4. I've always had an interest in bringing the arts to the community. I actually was one of the artistic interns at the Grant Park Music Festival during college, and that really opened my eyes to the arts in the community. They actually had a great community outreach program, and I really enjoyed seeing children coming to the shows. And I had the two loves. I had the love of arts administration, but also the love of performing. So I performed for a good 10 years before I had my first child. And then when that happened, I just focused on teaching, which is one of my other loves. And so I was teaching for a while, and then I still had this thought in the back of my head that wouldn't it be great if we could get more music in the school. So one day I came to Sylvia, who has been a great friend for a long time at Near North Montessori School, and I said, I really think we can start something. I think we can get more, classes in the schools, music in the schools. It's just really lacking. And she jumped in and said, yes, right away. She didn't even think. That's what I loved about it. And we worked on it a little bit. We thought of different ideas, just kind of kicking it around. And we're about to incorporate. And I've been teaching Fiona's daughters. I had been teaching them at the time. And it was Sylvia who said, what about Fiona? Do you think she would want to help us? And I was like, I don't know. But then she's like, we should ask her. And I was like, okay, let's ask her. So she jumped in. Immediately, we incorporated. This was in 2018, and we just haven't stopped since. So it's been really a wonderful experience.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. But
no worries.
All you guys had kids in school, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
We all had kids in school.
At the same school or different schools around Chicago?
Different schools.
Okay, talk a little bit about...
all different age groups.
Talk a little bit about, if one of you, I don't know...
We'll start with Sylvia, then Christy, and then Fiona.
Okay, talk a little bit about how not only the business for yourself, but what does it mean for your kids, right? Because they're involved in this, aren't they? Sylvia?
Well, I'd say that more specifically, Christy and Fiona's children are involved in this. Mine are a little bit older right now. One is already in college and one is a senior, but they are both products of CPS, Chicago Public Schools. And I am all about bringing, music and arts to kids. And I live in the neighborhood and I support my neighborhood school here. So, I mean, when I heard at Christy's school that there were guitars on the wall and no one was using them, or keyboards in the closet, 30 keyboards that were never touched. I thought that is crazy ridiculous that the school has the resources and yet there's no teacher and no one's playing these instruments.
Well, obviously there was a need, right? Because you said it exploded. So obviously there was a need out there, right?
Yeah.
So we only have like a minute left, but let's ask Fiona, how did that... when you feed into that need, how does it happen for you? I mean, you said you went to 17 schools in a year and a half. That's amazing.
Honestly, it really was incredible just seeing what was possible at the schools we were already in, and then being able to truly confidently offer our services at an affordable rate has been very important to us. Really getting the word out there to as many families as possible and making sure that everyone feels accommodated. Music is for everyone. It's not just a fine art that people are not able to capture if they don't want a private lesson or they can't afford that. And we really wanted to convey that to principals and the teachers and embrace the programs that the schools already had and be able to complement them.
Well, we're looking forward to talk to you ladies after the commercial break, because I got to go to a commercial break on how COVID is and how you're adjusting to COVID. I know that you ladies are, but I got to give your website because it's beautiful. And if you have a grandkid or if you have a child that'd be interested in learning an instrument, go to ChicagoSMA.com. Again, ChicagoSMA.com. You'll be able to get all the information right there. Or you can call Open Tax Advocates. We'll happily get you in touch with all of our trust professionals. 312-664-6649 and visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com. It's going to be your hub to fight the IRS. Again, if you have a kid or if you have a grandkid that's just sitting around, you go, you got to learn. These ladies are for you, and we'll be right back with our interview with the Chicago School of Musical Arts on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to the program. This is the Trust Radio Network here on AM 560.
The Answer.
We're here today with Deborah Schreiner, our technical producer. My co-host is Jim Leahy, and we have a studio. Not really full of
We
people.
really are. It's so funny because I'm looking into the camera the whole time. So again, ladies and gentlemen that are listening out on this great station on AM 560 this Saturday evening, you can go over to our Trust Radio Network Facebook page and watch all of our interviews with our trusted professionals. And it's funny because I'm looking in the camera and it's like I'm just talking with these great ladies from the Chicago School of Musical Arts. Again, ladies, thanks so much for joining us. And we're going to continue our interview. And
what I wanted to talk to them, because in between segments we were talking a little bit about virtual learning. So I don't know who wants to grab the reins here and talk a little bit about the virtual learning, because we're kind of forced into it. But sometimes we're forced into these things, but it actually happens to be a
great move.
A great move. That it helps. It's more productive than you think it is. Is that what you found?
It has been, and I think we've all learned the different platforms. We've learned, the pros and cons. We've tried them, and we've learned how children learn, and it's a little bit different because one thing is you can't hear the quality of the sound as well as in person. However, there's a lot you can do. One of our teachers, who's a piano teacher, has two cameras, one on his piano and one on his face. So the children can actually see much more closely what's going on with his hands.
That makes sense.
And that's the same with a guitar class. The children can see very, closely, whereas if you were sitting far back in a classroom, you might not be able to see. The other thing is we can record the classes. And actually, we have the teacher make a recording of the assignment, and every week, if they're learning a scale, a G major scale or a new song, we email that assignment, and then we can see the video up close, and then it's easier to see exactly what to do. So those have been ways that it's actually been better than in person. I think there are definitely, pros and cons, but there are definitely ways that it's been better than we've ever been, basically.
It also lets you reach more people. Is that right, Sylvia?
Definitely. We actually had a woman, she called me from Hawaii looking for lessons for her niece in South Bend, Indiana. And she was looking for someone in Chicago because she always growing up in South Bend, she thought, Chicago has a lot of, famous musicians and artists. So that was really neat to speak with someone in Hawaii setting up lessons for her niece in South Bend. I'm trying to think who's our other out-of-state student. Can you guys help me out here?
Well, you guys got you got a few of them, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a branching out effort.
Right. And we're actually
Absolutely.
now we can go nationwide. We could go international. I mean, I feel like the sky's the limit as long as we can just find a time that works for both parties. Our teachers, being virtual, they can teach at any time if that student can log on at that time. And we do offer both group and private lessons. So, we have everything from ukulele to drums to voice to violin to viola to cello. It's been really neat.
I could see how recording would be helpful for learning, right? Because as you mentioned, that's a big plus of being on Zoom or something, because you can record it and someone can come back and watch it. Isn't that right? What do you think, Fiona?
Absolutely. We've actually had a really huge success rate with our pivot to virtual, which was very quick actually for us. The really neat thing is that COVID legitimized online learning in a way that I think individual businesses, small businesses to large businesses, never could have on their own. So that worked in our favor in such a beautiful way that we were able to pivot quickly, offer this service to our families through Zoom, but then also capture new audiences, like Sylvia was saying. And, the beautiful thing is we record our Zoom classes for some of the students who aren't able to actually attend at the proper time, which is great. A lot of our students are first responders' children, and they're not able to support their kids in learning at the times maybe that our classes happen, but we're able to support all of our families with their individual needs. So it has really been an awesome way for us to, really hone in on who our clients are and what we can do to better move our business forward to answer their needs.
It's so interesting to hear how this all breaks, because, again, as Attorney Stephen Leahy said, that one thing, you guys are rocking and rolling in 17 different schools, and then all of a sudden this hits, and like a lot of businesses, everybody goes, oh my gosh, for a quick second go, oh my gosh, now what? But you guys seem to have pivoted perfectly.
Were you online beforehand? Were you teaching anything online?
No, not at all. No.
That's amazing.
And this all just came to be.
We always wanted to be, though, which was an interesting part. We always wanted to have a broader reach, be online, have summer classes. And we just really, between the three of us and all of our teachers, it's hard to be able to expend all that energy when you've got an in-person class running at the same time. So because all of this, we were put in this place that we wanted to be in anyhow. So it's kind of a neat way that worked out.
So do you, now that we're all branching out, all these schools are going online and you're able to connect with group and private lessons, I mean, are you only stuck to kids? Do you have any adult students?
We do, yes. And that's a whole different market, but we really, anybody that would like a lesson on really any instrument, we can find a teacher for you.
And again, with all this time, a lot of grandparents are out there sitting there going, well, what next? I don't know. I mean, for real, though,
you mentioned all these different instruments. Amazing. I mean, we all know that there's so many different instruments out there, and everybody kind of caught, when you go to school, you're kind of caught with what they have, right? You kind of, I gotta take a trumpet, but you guys are kind of free to kind of pick. So some kind of gives someone freedom to pick whatever instrument might interest them, don't you think? What do you think?
Yeah. So if someone came to me and said, I want mandolin lessons, I could find a mandolin teacher for that person, adult or child.
It really expands it. So not only does it expand your market and on who you can teach, but what you can teach too. I'm a big advocate of this virtual thing. I think it's just this COVID has just hurried along the inevitable, which was going to happen. It might have taken a lot longer, but here we are. And I think again, you guys are a great example of getting thrown a curveball, but hitting it out of the park. So you guys did a great job. So
thank you so much.
So talk a little bit about Chicago Public Schools, though, because that's where you guys started. And so what's your relationship with Chicago Public Schools?
Well, my children go to a really great public school called Elcott Elementary in Lincoln Park. And actually we have a wonderful music teacher there. We're really lucky. But like I said, for me, as a working mom, I needed aftercare for my kids. And this is one of the issues that I think many working parents face and it's going to be a problem, in the fall. If parents are called back to work, what happens to the kids? Because if you are a first responder, you really have to go to work. And what happens to the kids? And at our school, the dismissal is at 2:45. And, I'm working, and their dad is working and teaching. And so what are the options? And I said, wow, wouldn't it be great if we had affordable music classes right here in the school? and I know my children are taken care of for another hour and 15 minutes, and they're getting a good class. And so that's kind of how the idea came about when I was actually in the school with my own kids, and I saw what I needed, and I was like, well, if I need this, I'm sure there are thousands of parents out there that need this too.
Well, obviously it hit a chord because, again...
See
what I did
here?
See what I did there?
You're joking around. You didn't even know he was doing that.
Are you kidding?
Are you
It's
kidding
all
me?
totally planned.
It's a comedic genius.
Puns are acceptable.
I'm saying that because, again, you not only did you reach the 17 schools right away, but then now you're reaching out all
and
across
now you're
the
reaching
nation.
out all across the nation. I don't mean to cut you off, but we are running out of time. And again, ladies, we look really forward to seeing your growth because this is something that's going to take off, and it's already showing. Right? And so we want everybody out there listening, go over to ChicagoSMA.com. Again, that's ChicagoSMA.com. You're going to be able to get all the information you need for, again, if you're a parent, if you're a grandparent, you have, and you want your kids, or heck, even if you want to learn how to do an instrument, you can go over there and learn. Again, ChicagoSMA.com, or call Open Tax Advocates, 312-664-6649, or visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com. It's going to be your hub to fight the IRS. We are going to be talking about, in the real estate segment, the commercial downfall in Chicago. And what does that mean for residential home sales? Find out right after the commercial break. Here on AM 560, The Answer.
I will sell this house today.
Welcome back to the program. This is the Trust Radio Network here on AM 560, The Answer.
The Answer.
Here with Deborah Schreiner, our technical producer. My co-host today.
And the show's realtor.
Is Jim, and the show's realtor, since this is a realty segment.
That's right.
Is Jim Leahy. We're joined today by the Chicago School of Musical Arts.
The three ladies with the Chicago School of Musical Arts.
Sylvia, Fiona, and Christy. And we've been talking about music instruction and also virtual instruction, and that's kind of lead us into what you're going to talk about.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jim Leahy with At Properties. Go over to my Facebook page, Leahy Residential. You'd be able to get a hold of me there. I'm not going to give out a ton of phone numbers because, let's face it, it's going too fast. I can't get my phone out. Just go to Leahy Residential on Facebook. You'll be able to see exactly what I'm talking about. And today I really wanted to talk about the commercial fall of Chicago, but really not Chicago on a national trend. It's coinciding with what we're talking about with our guests today,
virtual.
With the Chicago School of Musical Arts, that everything is going virtual. Well, that was one of the big concerns when this started was, well, who's really going to need this large real estate now? Why am I going to pay so much for an office when everything's at home? And really in the second quarter, Chicago saw a drop in lowest mark since 2013.
Huge. Well, let me point this out. If I don't have to live, if I don't need the office, then I don't have to live next to the office. So then I could move anywhere I want.
And that's why we're seeing a huge boom within the suburbs,
that's
right? And that's a mixture of things. That's with that's a political, that's a natural disaster, COVID. Yes. Financial reasons. There's a lot of multitudes that are seeing this spread. And I've talked about this the last couple of weeks. And I really pulled up the market snapshot, the residential status snapshot that I got from MRED. I said that. That's its cousin, RRED, whatever. Anyway, MRED, which is Midwest real estate data that's pulling, and I'm pulling the numbers right here from 2019 to 2020. And under contract here within the suburbs and really throughout all the Chicagoland area, it's unbelievable compared to other years. From really the beginning of June until even right now, which is we are talking on the 31st of July was when the show's recorded, that the under contract homes are just blowing 2019 out of the water. COVID was a reason for that, threw a wrench in the wheels, right, for people moving out. And it delayed. And this is what I'm saying. That people are just getting out and they're trying to take advantage of these low rates. As I said before, and I put up the videos on my Facebook page, and call David Hochberg because he'll tell you, yeah, it's busy. I'm busy. I know David would be like, yeah, brother, I am. Let me tell you, I'm busy.
Yeah, mortgage because the loans are the loan rate is very low, so people are getting
And also, too,
refinances.
people are looking at bringing their business out into the suburbs and working in a smaller residence or smaller office spaces, and that's just the truth.
So all of our guests are Chicago residents, and so I want to ask them about their virtual. You guys are working out of home now, or right? You have a virtual home workplace. So
Yes.
how does that
As you
change?
said, you can work from everywhere.
Yeah. Does that change your view? Let me ask you that. Like, how about you, Fiona?
We actually never had a bricks and mortar, and that that actually was how we were able to get started with very little debt and very little, initial expense, because that expense was something that we didn't need. So we met in coffee shops from day one.
Except for the schools are brick and mortar, and that's where you had to go to give the give the classes.
Because the classes are all in the schools. That was the concept. Was the classes were all in the schools, and so we actually, after school, I would travel around and observe the classes, observe the teachers, make comments, talk to the principal, talk to the parents, talk to the teachers, make sure that, because we do use the teachers' classrooms,
Well, let me
make sure that...
Let me interrupt you here for just a second and say, because I give virtual consultations. I always tell them it's a little awkward sometimes, but it sure beats traveling back and forth, right? So the awkwardness sometimes of getting things set up, there's some awkwardness, but 100%. But the benefit of not having to travel kind of overturns that. What do you think about that, Fiona? What do you think about that?
I 100% agree with that. I think people are finding that they can be more efficient because they are at home and they can handle, so many different meetings on top of each other on so many different subjects, while, not having to deal with commute times and not having to deal with city traffic, which we all know about.
Yeah.
It's tough for people too, though, because their children are also home, and that becomes a situation where how do they create, family time, work time, and have reprieve in the middle? And that's a very hard concept now. I think people are trying to balance.
Yeah, well, I feel like I hate to cut you off.
Move.
I hate to cut you off right here, but we got it because we're running out of time. The Chicago School of Musical Arts, the three ladies from the Chicago School of Musical Arts. Go to Chicago. I'm so certain. Let me pull it up because I'm running. ChicagoSMA.com. I'm Jim Leahy with That Properties. And again, that concludes what we were just talking about. Again, brick and mortar is starting to become, why have that expense? And that's the whole point I was trying to make there. Well, there's always going to be need for it, but not as big. Anyway, we'll be right back. But remember, Open Tax Advocate is your sponsor of this show. 312-664-6649. Give them a call on any of our trusted professionals. We will happily turn you in their direction. We will be continuing our interview as well with the ladies from the Chicago School of Musical Arts after this commercial break on AM 560. The Answer.
Welcome back to the program. This is the Trust Radio Network here on AM 560.
The Answer.
Here with Deborah Schreiner, our technical producer, my co-host, my nephew, my very good friend, Jim Leahy.
I hopefully will get the very good realtor.
And our guests today are from the Chicago School of Musical Arts, Sylvia, Fiona, and Christy, correct? And we've been talking about what I love small business, right? Small people, and they find a niche, and they found this niche in teaching people how to play an instrument, and where COVID has thrown them a curveball, they've learned how to make.
They've cracked it out of the park,
but with virtual. And so, I don't know if it's something that they thought of, but this is the segment we always like to ask, have you answer frequently asked questions. So let's start with Fiona and ask her, what's the most frequent question that you get about your business or about virtual instruction?
Well, as a parent, we get a lot of questions about quality. How do I know my child is going to take to this instrument, or how do I know that my child is going to get a quality lesson virtually? And so that for us has been a really interesting question to answer. And my daughters actually experienced virtual lessons with Christy for the violin. And that's been a wonderful thing to see because they've transitioned really well and taking ownership of the instrument and their own quality of sound because of the virtual nature of it. They have to really be responsible for what they do with the instrument and how they play it and how they practice. And so we can still maintain the quality, but it's a different experience. Yes, it's not hands-on, but we've really found so many ways to create such quality and have that lesson take all of the certain amount of minutes. And there's no, as we talked about earlier, there's no commute time. Parents are able to sit in the room more often and be with their child experiencing that instrument. So we found a lot of different ways to find like the silver linings in having virtual lessons at home.
What a great point!
Perfect.
What a great point. The silver lining in that you think it's going to cause problems, but yet it actually has benefited. You know, again, as someone who went through a lot of guitar lessons in my life, the hard part was getting there, right? And also, and then practice. Really, it's up to you have to practice, right? So the instruction is one thing, but it's always been up to the student to learn kind of much on themselves, practice a lot. So I don't know.
We're really able to empower the students and empower the parents to help their students with the instrument. We want to make sure that families understand all of it.
Very good point. Very good point. Sylvia, tell us what's the most common question that you get that you would like that you can answer here for us.
I get a lot of questions from parents, how can I help my child, or what are the assignments, things like that. So we're very conscientious about sending out an email every week. Christy does a great job with that, where we have the teachers let us know what they're assigning, and then Christy gets the email out to the families. We're very customer service oriented, so we're trying to make sure everyone knows what's happening, when the performance is, what's expected to practice every day. If they have any questions, who they can turn to, the teacher, to one of the three of us. Very hands-on. I've spoken to many of the parents. We email often with them.
So let me ask you this now. Generally, when you're like in school, when they take music class, then they have some sort of band or some presentation for the parents.
Oh, yeah, how does that work?
How does that work? How will that work virtually? What do you think, Christy?
It's funny because I still, even though I have this business, I still have my own violin studio at the school that I've been teaching all these years, and we were able to have a virtual recital.
Oh.
And the cool thing about that, and actually Fiona's daughters performed, it was wonderful. The cool thing about that is I looked on the Zoom, and there were so many people on there, and it was grandparents and uncles and people asking me, do you have the video? I thought of 10 more people I want to send this to. So we've never had that before where, people from anywhere could log in and see the child perform, and that part was really cool.
Well, see,
that's awesome.
You guys keep adding to this because, again, the silver lining that you kind of mentioned before is like, how are we going to do this? But yet it's turned out to be even better. It's even turned out to be beneficial for, and I think that's very good. Is how do you have these recitals and only the parents go, but now the grandparents can go and the aunts and uncles can watch, and that's so important, I think. And it really helps feed the student, right, to want to play more.
Feed the need for playing the instrument.
Really. What do you think? Yes? Christy?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I know he's throwing an open end. Yeah. What do you think?
You know what? It's funny. It's nice that the technology is also advancing so rapidly, because we found that our business had to pivot very quickly. So it's nice that the different platforms can support us as well, and we can find the quality and offering like the safety of online learning to our students, as well as the quality audio, and our teachers are able to like mute all or keep each student in. And so it's really nice that we're able to grow with all the technology that's out there today.
Well, I'll tell you, ladies, you were doing a fantastic job
So
after
important.
a year and a half going into 17 different schools and then branching out to and hitting it out of the park with COVID. You guys are doing a fantastic job. We are running out of time here, so I want everybody who's listening right now, grandparents to parents to uncles to aunts, if you have a kid that wants to get interested in school and or learning how to play an instrument, and really for anybody, go to ChicagoSMA.com. Again, ChicagoSMA.com, and you'll be able to get in touch with these good ladies, these good folks over here at the Chicago School of Musical Arts. Open Tax Advocates also will answer any questions you have, too, because we'll get you in touch with them. 312-664-6649 and visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com. It's going to be your hub to fight the IRS. We're going to wrap this show up, but before we do, you got to listen to our sponsors and come right back here on AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. Thanks so much for watching this video.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Our guest today is the Chicago School of Musical Arts. They are...
I'm Sylvia,
Fiona, and Christy.
And that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, watch and listen to the Trust Radio Network every Saturday at 7 p.m. on that great station we know and love, AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back. I'm your host. I'm attorney Stephen A. Leahy. Like the guy just said, he wouldn't lie to you. We're here with Deborah Schreiner, our technical producer, my co-host, my very good friend, Jim Leahy. We've been joined here today by the Chicago School of Musical Arts, the three ladies from there, Fiona and Sylvia and Christy. Christy, I wanted to ask you, because we only have a little bit of time left, but I thought it's important that we talked about, because we talked about you going back to virtual and doing virtual stuff, but eventually, right, you're going to go back into the schools. Have you planned on that? What kind of precautions can you take? Talk a little bit about that.
We definitely want to be back in the schools, and I know that the day is coming soon where we will know exactly what's happening. And I think the difference, we're going to be back. We don't know when. Some schools, we work with some private schools, they have a plan to be in person sooner. We know CPS, we're following that every day. We're following, what they're saying. Right now they're saying they're going to be in school part of the time, virtual part of the time. But we are prepared to go and follow all of the protocols that are called for in terms of social distancing. We can definitely, our classes are not that big. They're about 6 to 10 students, so we can definitely space children out, make sure everyone's wearing masks, make sure that we follow all the protocols. So we're just ready to do whatever we're called upon to do.
So if I'm moving, I'm able to still keep my teacher, if I'm taking courses, but I will still keep my teacher because of the virtual connection.
That's true.
Yes,
we had a student who was moving, and actually Sylvia told us she was driving to Colorado and she was taking her virtual lesson in the car driving to Colorado. So that was really fun to hear that she kept going.
Well, also shows they're
awesome.
interested, right? The student's interested. That's awesome. Yeah, that's a great story.
Could you imagine being the parent driving and be like, we're going to hit a spot where we can't reach you. We'll be... We're gonna disconnect here.
We've had a great interview here with you, all three
Seriously.
of you ladies. I learned a lot. I think the biggest thing that I got out of this is, as a small business person, you have to be prepared to change.
And you ladies did just that.
You guys did that, and it's been hit it out of the park. You guys done a great job. I want to encourage everyone, if you have a student, if you want to be a student, to learn any kind of musical instrument, these are the ladies you should call at the Chicago
School of Musical
Arts.
I know there's so much going on on YouTube. But again, the Chicago School of Musical Arts, ladies and gentlemen, go over to ChicagoSMA.com. Again, ChicagoSMA.com. One more time, get that pen and piece of paper out if you're a grandparent. If you're a parent, you want your kids to start learning an instrument, or if you want to learn an instrument yourself, go to ChicagoSMA.com. And you'll be able to sign up for courses right there. Again, thank you, ladies, so much for coming on the show. We greatly appreciate it. And I want to thank so much to you, Attorney Stephen Leahy, for playing the great tune that you do, which is tax relief. 312-664-6649 or visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com. It's going to be your hub to fight the IRS. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, you can catch every one of our trusted professionals every Saturday. Well, not every one of them. This is not like an episode of Batman where all the guys get together. You can go listen. We'll catch you next time. Same bad time, same bad channel on AM 560. The Answer.
Thank you for tuning in to the Trust Radio Network on AM 560, The Answer.